If you are someone who has been constantly searching for what it is you're supposed to do, why you're put on this earth, and you're feeling very frustrated and stuck, and you constantly say to yourself, I don't know what I want, I don't even know where to start, then this is definitely the video for you. And I want to talk about this topic because I feel like we're getting to a place where so many people want to have purposeful work, which is amazing. And I'm so excited for that place. And we're getting closer and closer and closer to a world where that's just the most important thing, instead of the most important thing being about money or power or what have you. And instead, we're moving toward this place where purpose is paramount to happiness, and purposeful work is paramount to feeling at ease and peaceful and knowing what you're put here on earth to do. And the challenge that we're all facing, though, is we're waking up and knowing how important it is, but we're hitting walls because now we feel frustrated because we don't know what it is and we don't know how to find it. And we feel stuck, and we feel like we've lived a decent life and we have a good amount of things that we were told we wanted, and we're still not really that happy. And we're really trying to discover what it is we want to do. The problem with where we're at right now, which again, I'm glad we're here. I'm glad that we're moving more and more and closer to finding purpose and making sure that that is the critical piece to all of our lives, the part where we just can't ignore anymore. I'm glad we're here. But the problem with it is we're not taught how to do this. What we're taught is what I like to call the conveyor belt. And there's very few people who are bold enough and have enough courage to get off this conveyor belt. The ones that do, love it. But then those people go off the rails, go off the conveyor belt. And a lot of those people are doing their purpose, but are poor or don't have money or scraping by. So we've got a couple problems, I guess. I said one, but maybe a couple here. But definitely the first problem is we're not taught how to do this. What we are taught instead is that we are to get good grades in school, apply to universities, go to university, graduate, hopefully find your partner, get married, probably have children, get a decent job, put away for your 401k, retire at 55, whatever the age is these days. And that should be good, right? That should do it. That should be what works. But instead, we're finding ourselves not happy, not peaceful, not having abundance in money, and we're confused because we're all like, wait a minute, I did what I was told to do. I followed the instructions. But here I am, and it's not working for me, and it's not going well. And now I don't know what to do. And I don't really want to live my life in such a way where I die never knowing why I was put on this earth to do. And by the way, that bubbling up of a feeling is your soul getting to that point of saying, hi, hello, I'm here. Can you please listen to me now? And it's a thing that if unlistened to or shoved aside or pushed down or shoved down ends up potentially, not always, but a lot of times it'll rear its ugly head, and this can result in anxiety, panic attacks, depression, feeling like nothing is working out for you, so just having a generalized feeling of not being very happy. And so when you get to that point, it's even more critical for you to actually start listening, because I believe the soul speaks very intensely, especially when she wants something. And if she's not been listened to for a long time, she'll just get louder and louder. And so again, going back to where we're at a place where it's amazing. We're really starting to get to that point where we're talking about having purpose in work and having purposeful lives and fulfilling lives. And I think that's amazing. And where I would say now we need to go is the how. How do we get there? How do we do? And I know so many people, and I know people told me this even, was just listen to your heart and just follow what your heart tells you. Again, the problem is we don't know what that is. We don't even know what does that even mean, right? And so I want to share with you today that there is a pathway. There is absolutely a methodology to this, and there is a pathway. And one of the most critical things that you can take away today and understand very, very clearly so that it gets you closer to your purpose is that purpose is literally just carrying out your soul's desires. And that is it. Pressure gone. No more needing to find the exact thing. But what you do need to do is understand what that even means and what that even looks like and what that even feels like. And so when I talk about purpose, I want to make sure that I'm also combining it with success, because we don't want to be fulfilling what our soul is asking us to fulfill and end up in a place where it's a very fear-filled place versus an abundant place, because if we end up in the fear-filled place, we'll pull back on it really quickly and we'll be too scared to continue carrying out our soul's desires. So it's really important in my mind to combine purpose with success. So the methodology that I talk about in my upcoming Success on Purpose Mastermind and basically my entire ethos is how to be successful on purpose and with purpose, and therefore leading to a happier life and a more fulfilling life or more fulfilled life. And it's so important to understand that the way your soul speaks to you, so this is how you start listening to your soul, okay? Like the step one, understand that your purpose in life is to carry out your soul's desires. Step two is learn how to listen to your soul. And the way you listen to your soul is understanding that your soul speaks in emotions. So there's not this voice that just shows up and just says, hey, I know what your purpose is, and this is what I want you to do. And then you go do it. It's not going to be like that unless we have like this extremely strong connection with divinity and we literally hear God's voice, which I'm not saying can't happen. But on a general day-to-day perspective, we have to understand that listening to your emotions is your pathway or your connecting point to your soul. This is how you listen to your soul speak. And this can be applied across the board. This is the other thing I want to make sure that people take away from this video is that carrying out your soul's desires doesn't always mean or have to do with work. We just always see it in that way because work is such a huge component of our life. So when we work, it takes up some of us 40 to 60 hours a week. Some of us see our colleagues more than we see our family members, right? So it's really important to understand that, though I think it is important, and applying purpose to the work that you do is so huge when it comes to feeling fulfilled and having a happy life, but it's not the only thing. Especially because let's just take being in relationships, for example. So if you're listening to your soul and your soul is getting upset about something your partner keeps doing, and you just ignore your soul because, or those feelings that are coming up because you think, oh gosh, I don't want to say anything. I might ruin this relationship if I say anything. That in and of itself is not taking care of your soul. So you're not sticking up for your soul. You're not listening. So you're pushing aside. So generally speaking, it's really important to understand that you listening to your soul doesn't have to do with just work, but it is a huge component of it because we work a lot. It just is what it is. And so when we think about those two things put together, so again, your purpose is to carry out your soul's desires, and how you listen to your souls through your emotions. And then the third part of all of this is then to take action on these things. And again, if we go back to the example I just gave, if you know what your purpose is and you start listening to your soul and then you don't take action, and I'll go back to, again, using the relationship as an example. If you're in a relationship and it's not going well, or something keeps happening and your soul is upset about that, or sad, you feel sadness or whatever emotion is coming up, and then you do nothing out of fear, your soul's just going to keep on having that problem. And then eventually she'll scream so loud that it'll come out sideways. And this is where you start seeing things be said out loud to your partner that may or may not sit well with you after you've said them, or may or may not sit well with them after you've said them. So that's just a basic example. And so if I go back to the beginning again, so if we're thinking about this in terms of not only having purpose, but having success on purpose, and how to do that, how to discover it, where to find your purpose, one of the most critical pieces in this whole conversation is to understand that your purpose is carrying out your soul's desires. How you hear your soul's desires is through your emotions, and how you know if you're doing it right, you're not doing it right, is to take action and see what happens. And that last part is really important, because whenever this happens, it doesn't mean it's set in stone. And what do I mean by that? So for example, when I first started out my own business, I've always kind of known that I wanted to help people find their purpose. And when I started my own business, I started out by doing consulting more than I was helping people with their purpose. And I could not shake that feeling. I could not shake it. I could not shake it. And the further along I went, the more I not really ignored, but dabbled. I would say I dabbled. My soul didn't let me forget that. But what I needed to do was take action on hearing my soul say, I want to have my own business. So I took action on that. And then I have pivoted and I've molded it and I've changed it over a year. Like just in the last year alone, I've changed what I was doing and the way I was doing it. I've listened to myself. I've heard my emotions. I know when I like doing something. I know when I don't like doing something, and being bold enough to say no to what I don't like and yes to what I do like. Now, granted, that is a very simple example, but you're very rewarded when you say no to something that doesn't work for you and you say yes to what does work for you. Your soul rejoices. And then more things start happening in God, the universe, whatever you see it as, because you're basically like being rewarded for actually doing your job, which is carrying out your soul's desires. So again, in summary, I want to make the point that finding your purpose is very, very simple concept. All it is carrying out your soul's desires. That's it. So you can stop putting pressure on yourself to know the exact thing you're supposed to be doing at the exact moment you're supposed to be doing it with the exact person you're supposed to be doing it with. And knowing that just because you have found your purpose doesn't mean you get a free ticket to know exactly everything that's going to happen in your life. Like, part of life is just experiencing life. So that's the other thing. I didn't really say that in my top 3 things, but I want to just say that just because you discover your purpose doesn't mean your entire life's plan is laid out in front of you. That'll never happen. So if that's your expectation, and I know a lot of people, when I say that, they'll say, well, that's not what I expect. But in reality, sometimes people are doing things because of things for reasons like that and not even realizing it. So if you don't feel like you're doing that, I just urge you to make sure you're not, because regardless, no matter what, even if someone walked up to you and handed you a piece of paper and said, here's your life's purpose, it's still not going to give you the exact roadmap and exactly everything that's going to happen in your life and how to bring that purpose to life and how to implement it in your life. And, it's just not going to be this perfect roadmap that for every time, this perfect roadmap, and every time you come to a stop sign, it tells you to go left or you go right. There's other ways to be able to do that, but knowing your purpose is not going to do that for you. Life is full of experiences. That's what life is about. And just because you know your purpose does not mean that you're going to know exactly every single experience that you'll have in life. That would be so pointless to actually having a life. So, once again, the key to understanding what your purpose is knowing that your purpose is carrying out your soul's desires, number one. Number two, your soul speaks through emotions. And number three, taking action on those emotions and those guideposts so that you can see how you feel after you do something. And if you love it and it's wonderful and it's great and it's amazing, do more of that. If it didn't quite come out the way you thought it would, evaluate, change, do it again, see how it goes that time. Or it was completely awful. By the way, quick tip on that, not to confuse discomfort for it not being what you're supposed to be doing. For example, I gave my first ever speech, and I want to go into public speaking a little bit more here in the next year. And leading up to that moment, I was really nervous. It was so uncomfortable. But the whole time I was very engaged and very excited. And afterwards I was like high as a kite. I could not even go to sleep. And so that's the part where you have to like decipher the feelings and the emotions and what's coming from your soul. And despite the nervousness and all of that, what I connected with was the excitement. And my soul was like, that was amazing. Can we do more of that? So just being careful not to confuse discomfort with things that you're not supposed to be doing versus things you are supposed to be doing. So I hope that helps. I hope it takes a lot of pressure off you trying to find the thing that is your purpose. And I would love to hear more from you. If you feel like this resonates or you try it and you have some questions, let me know. And yeah, good luck.